What's going on, Content Nation? It's your Content King, Mr. Content here, with another brilliant piece of content to add on to the unlimited content that you guys have. For this episode, just to prove that I like to start and stop series just as often as going to Alcoholic Anonymous meetings, we're going to start a new series today called Film Club. Yeah, dude, it's like that other series I do called Book Club, except I'm going to do it more frequently now because I'm watching way more movies than I read books. And yes, I am an English major. Pretty sad life. So for Film Club, I basically just want to discuss a bunch of underrated movies that I don't believe get enough attention, views, or eyeballs on them, and I just want to bring more light to them and have a bit of a community with the people that have seen these movies and that do want to talk about movies such as these. And for the very first episode of this epic Film Club series that I'm not going to stop in 3 episodes, I'm not going to do that, not going to happen, subscribe, this is a thing now, is I Saw the Devil, a South Korean foreign language film starring Lee Byung-hyun and the protagonist of 2003's Oldboy. That guy, he plays a pedophile in this movie. A pedophile, murderer, rapist, just absolute scum of the earth, and he kills our main character's wife and rapes her. But little does he know that this guy, whom he's never met before, is a trained badass, and I believe serves as a part of the police station or their federal investigations unit, whatever that may be, and he's deciding to hunt this guy down and just make his life an absolute hell because of what he did to his wife. And I just want to say that this film is riveting from start to finish. If you've seen this movie, then you know what I'm talking about when I say that the pace is just brilliant, especially with how the camera work incorporates into making that pace so intense. The camera's always moving. There's so many shots where it's swirling in the middle of a car and you get to see all of the characters and how they interact in real time, and it's just very, very intense and expertly made. Every single shot is interesting. The cinematography is some of the best I've ever seen in a movie, and I can genuinely say that it doesn't really remind me of any director except for maybe a little bit of Sam Raimi with some of the horror elements in this film. Also, the performances are great. All of the dialogue is very realistic, along with the violence, the scenes of grotesque, brutal violence, all very realistic and all extremely impactful because of how realistic it is. Although I do have to say, there's an absurd amount of damage that some of the characters takes, and it gets Quentin Tarantino-esque in a way, just because all the characters are in the middle of a giant gore bloodbath sometimes, and it seems like they've barely taken any damage. But it almost works just to see this amount of violence on the screen. It's just entertaining to watch, nevertheless, In particular, I think that the villain's performance, the same guy who played the protagonist from Oldboy, yeah, that guy, that dude, I thought his performance was the best in the movie, perhaps. Every single nuance about his performance, from the way that he looks at different characters, to his expressions, to even the screams that he makes when the protagonist is doing such actions like cutting his Achilles tendon open.
지금 눈 감아요. 고개 돌리고 귀도 막고.
The dude is just screaming like a banshee, and it's such an effective and haunting yell that he does. It really makes me feel like I'm in the moment with the characters there. I think the themes of this movie expertly weave between the difference between justice and vengeance, as the main character very obviously enjoys the despair that he's putting our villain through in this cat and mouse game where he continuously captures him and then releases him because he wants to cause more damage and suffering to the villain. Even though our main character believes he's justified here, the fact that he enjoys it this much and is doing all of these dastardly deeds and putting a lot of the public in danger just by having this guy still survive really makes the audience wonder, is this guy justified in his actions? Is this actually justice? Does this villain deserve this to happen to him? Well, I mean, obviously he does. He's like a pedophile, and he's friends with a literal cannibal. A cool character, by the way, but a literal cannibal. And ultimately, some of my favorite scenes in this movie are just haunting. That's the best word I can use to describe it. In a film that's an action, dramedy, thriller, horror film, I think haunting is the term that stands out the most, especially the end scene where a main character finally takes out his earbuds after realizing that the guy is finally dead. Spoiler alert, by the way. It's almost as if he finally realizes, okay, this guy is gone and I can no longer get any enjoyment out of the moment. I have to take these earbuds out of my head because even though I was enjoying this guy's suffering, now it's the suffering of his innocent family. And I don't want to listen to that because that would be wrong. Even though like 5 people have died because of me and this guy in this movie, but that would be wrong. All of the gore effects are great, acting's great, writing's great, directing is expert. Mwah! Mwah! Some of the violence is a little bit over the top, especially in how some of the characters just survive seemingly unsurvivable events, but ultimately, I would give this movie like a 9, I don't know, like a 9.5 out of 10, something like that, dude. It's a great movie, and it's also really accessible. It reminds you of somewhat of like Seven, a chase crime thriller like that, you know. It's very accessible to Western audiences. Okay, that's it for like this episode of Film Club, dude. Like, what did you guys like the most? Comment below some of your favorite scenes. Some of mine include the taxi scene, the dinner scene with the cannibal guy, the sex scene, and also I'm probably gonna give like, I don't know, like a film recommendation or something, like just another movie that I'm gonna talk about for the next episode. So, the movie that I want to talk about for the next episode is a movie I really want to rewatch. It's a documentary. Sorry for people who don't like documentaries, but I've seen it already and I just want to rewatch it for another video I'm making. And it's called 3 Identical Strangers. Really interesting from what I remember. Please check it out. I'll be back with another video in the next year. This series is definitely not over already. Love you, bye.